All right, hey y'all, welcome to lecture 3. This is going to be over chapter 4 in the Prebles art forms book or text on ELC, and then Good's Postmodern Principles, which is an article from the Journal of Art Education. So, let's go. All right, so in two-dimensional art such as painting and photography, this organization of visual elements is usually described as composition, so the organization of visual elements. Okay, right here. But a broader term that applies to the entire range of visual arts is design. So that's why we're doing the principles of design. The word design indicates both the process of organizing visual elements and the product of that process. All right, just some terms. Oh, and that's a Frank Stella artwork, and there's information about it in the notes. All right, so here are the principles of design. The principles of design provide an understanding not only of how artists work, but also of how design affects us. And the principles of design include unity, variety, balance, both symmetrical and asymmetrical balance, contrast, emphasis, and subordination, movement/directional forces, repetition, pattern, rhythm, proportion, and scale. All right, so unity. Unity in works of art occur when art/design elements are similar or identical. Very few artworks are completely unified. And here we have some artworks by Carmen Herrera, and so these are examples of unified artworks. So this would be a completely unified artwork, and this one actually is pretty close to being completely unified, but these two are mostly completely unified, I think. It says, in design, unity describes the feeling that all elements in a work belong together, make up coherent and harmonious whole. When a work of art has unity, we feel that any change would diminish its quality. So this artist, she's over 100. She's 104, maybe even. But yeah, she's pretty cool. And she's Cuban. So there's a documentary about her. I think it's on Netflix. The 100 Year Show, maybe. But I'm not positive that's on Netflix. It might be Prime, but it's on something. Oh, this way. Oh, wait. Oh, what? Too much. All right, variety. Variety is achieved when design elements are varied in size, color, shape, texture, or other attribute. So variety provides both diversity and acts to counter unity. So obviously this is a work by Larry Walker. It's called Listen to That Beat Wall series. So Larry Walker is the father of Carol Walker, and he is from Georgia, and I think he lives in he might still live in Augusta, Georgia, or something like that right now, but I'm not 100% positive where he lives. But yeah, so father of Carol Walker, he's also an artist. And yeah, so this has a lot of variety. If we look back here, unity, everything is kind of cohesive, it goes together. Variety, things that make it more exciting. So everything is varied in size, shape, and texture, and color. So there's the school bus thing on there. There's multimedia, a lot of different stuff within that painting. So that's variety. All right, so next we have balance. So balance refers to the distribution of visual weight, of shapes and forms. So for this image, a teeter-totter, obviously this is a thing of balance, so a teeter-totter has balance. So that was an obvious visual / literal pun that I made, but also I just like this work. So this was a socially engaged art piece by Rail and San Fratello. So it's they are a group of two artists that work together, and then it's also done with Omar Rios. And it's called Teeter Totter Walls. and it's at the Mexico-U.S. border, and like people can come from either side and like teeter-totter. And it's bright pink, and they just set it up for like a little while. There's more to read about it, but yeah, socially engaged art. We talked about that before. Balance. Talk more about balance. Alright, so symmetrical balance is achieved when objects are reflected or repeated on either side of an axis. This type of symmetrical balance is also called bilateral balance. Alright, so yeah, symmetrical balance. I mean, I assume that y'all know what symmetry is. Symmetry. So this is symmetrical balance. And this is by Samira Alakahazada, and it's from, this is called Piece from a series called Double, and this is an Iranian artist, and she uses like mirror fragments and found photographs and kind of like mirrors them like this. She does a bunch of other different stuff. She does mixed media, but yes, bilateral symmetrical balance, bilateral symmetry, because it's two, obviously. Alright, so yeah. And then symmetrical balance may also be achieved by arranging multiple identical parts around a single axis. This is called radial symmetry. So I have two examples of radial symmetry. One is like a more traditional version of radial symmetry, which is this one right here. This is Damien Hirst. It is his, like, it's called It's Great to Be Alive. And it's like his version of a rose window, but up close. He has a lot of butterfly motifs. So, up close, all of the, like, it's all butterfly wings, but just look it up online. And then the other one is, and Damien Hirst is a British, like, famous, very famous, contemporary artist, like, from the young British artist, but he's not so young anymore, so that's like an old term. Then the other side, we have Sanford Biggers, and this is a mandala of co-option, and so he has like Buddhist figures that are like around it. So this is still radial symmetry because it's still arranging multiple identical parts around a single axis. So they're arranged around a single axis. So in a way, it's like still the same. And yeah, there you go. And then, so asymmetrical balance is achieved when different shapes or forms in a work of art are arranged in such a way as to create a sense of balance. So here, in this painting by Feng Li-jun, he is a portrait painter, and he is from China, and known for his painting and printmaking, politically driven paintings. Y'all can read about it, blah, blah, blah. This is an example of asymmetrical balance because it's on one side, but it's balanced because it's like, these are complementary colors too, so it's kind of like a reddish oranges color, and then the blue and like blue and orange are like complementary colors. So yeah, there you go. Asymmetrical balance. Another thing about asymmetrical balance is the left and right sides are not the same, and various elements are balanced around or felt implied around a felt or implied center of gravity. So this one, obviously, it's like the center. This is the United States. Y'all know this. So there's no like, obviously, it's not completely symmetrical, but it can be, and like it's all different. So whatever. This is an implied center of balance, I guess, center of gravity. This could be like an implied center of gravity. All right. Oh yeah, sorry. I'll tell you. So Nam June Pak is hailed father of video art and credited with the first use of the term electronic superhighway. Yeah, digital artist. Look it up. Alright, contrast is achieved by pairing opposites such as light and dark colors, smooth and rough textures together in a single work of art. So here we have Ronald Jackson, and this one is called A Veil of Bitter Songs, and this one is called A Study for a black man's soul. And so he adds contrast because obviously these different, and then it's the background. And yeah, so I'll read a quote from Ronald Jackson. I see life as a continual experience of discovery. Contrasting things that are apparent or taught with personal discoveries creates a perspective that is unique to every individual. Being mainly a figurative artist, I seek to capture intimate settings to use as a gateway to ponder complexities of the human experience, as well as the society that influences them. A comprehensive catalog of unique experiences is veiled behind every silent gaze of the human expression. My goal is to create work that is visually poetic, aiming to create an interactive experience in which the viewer is compelled to ponder possibilities that are likely reflections of their own experiences. I hope that my work can become a catalyst to trigger self-discovery of value, beauty, and significance among people who in some way feel marginalized. Additionally, I desire to invite the viewers to discover the value of humanity, the value and humanity of people of the various backgrounds and beliefs, exercising practice in the observation and study of figurative art. So yeah, that's Ronald Jackson. I like his art. And next we have emphasis. So emphasis is a way of directing the viewer's eye to the most important aspect of the work. Artists may create emphasis using a variety of methods, including size, color, placement, and or contrast. If emphasis is on a specific spot or a figure, it is called a focal point. And then through subordination, artists create. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. So emphasis right here. It's pretty obvious, guys. It's in the middle. And then through subordination, an artist creates a neutral area of lesser interest that keeps us from being distracted from the area of emphasis. Alright, so you see there's like nothing around these little guys, and they're all together. This is the subordination, this is the emphasis, and these are collectively a focal point, but it's not like there's one single focal point. But yeah, so emphasis, focal point, vocab works. And yeah, so this is a work by Isaac Cordell, and it's called Follow the Leaders. And it's also been called, or been dubbed like politicians arguing about climate change. So this artist is from, I'm going to say the Netherlands. He's from Germany, I think maybe. He's from somewhere in Europe. And he like creates these like little miniature statues that he like puts around. So these are actually like little figurines. And then I also think this is great because it like he puts them out in like the public, and then it really catches your eye, and it's crazy how like something like so little can catch your eye, but that's how you create emphasis. It's something that you wouldn't expect in the middle of a puddle in a street. Is like seeing like all these heads of these little men. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Alright, so movement / directional forces. So this is like the same thing, but I think like in the text it says directional forces, but like some other places you'll definitely see movement. So, you know, it's like interchangeable, whatever. So that is the ways in which the viewer's eye is directed at work. It can apply motion, hint at a narrative, or simply create a pleasing effect. Alright, so this work, this is implied motion, directional forces, because see, it carries your eye up, especially how it's like red, and then she's got white. Okay. So sensations are produced by the directions of lines. So standing still would be someone standing up and down. Being at rest would be if someone was laying down. And then being at motion is like, yeah, like this person is right here. So this is from Ada Mullen. Oh God, I don't even know. Mulinch. I don't know. And she's a contemporary Ethiopian photographer. Yeah, so an example, there's a lot more information about her. Read about it. Alright, so next we have rhythm. rhythm occurs when similar shapes or forms are repeated within a work of art. Rhythm is the visual beat or tempo within a work of art. Repetition is the simplest way to create rhythm. So this work of art, obviously, it has rhythm because it has a lot of repetition. But yeah, like, so there's a lot of little circles, and it's rhythm. It flows together. So this is by an artist named Julie Marin, and it is called Botanica, and it's from her Biophilia series. And this is like painted, like all of these little things are like acorn tops that she either filled with paint or geodes or something. So it's cool. All right, so, and then repetition. So that just said, repetition is the simplest way to create rhythm. If you don't know what repetition is, here is repetition. Repetition is the regular reoccurrence of visual elements, lends unity, continuity, flow, and emphasis. So here, right here. So this is by Sakir Loshabag. This is a Turkish artist, and yeah, the work is cool. It's got interesting, like, he does a lot of deconstruction. So this would be repetition, and then repetition a pattern is repetition, but repetition is not necessarily a pattern, because while this is repetition because it's repeating of shoes, well, I guess, I don't know, I think that looks actually a little bit random. It's not so much necessarily a pattern, maybe you could find a pattern, but so this is more so of a pattern. A pattern is an all-over design created by repetitive ordering of the elements. And yeah. And patterns are common in fabric design. So yeah. All right, so scale. So scale is the size relation of one thing to another. So how big will the work be? So obviously the scale is very large. They are large scale sculptures. You wouldn't say they're large proportion sculptures because a proportion is like a relation of the whole. So it'll be like a proportion of what? So it would be like, is it a large proportion of outside? Is it a large proportion of inside? So here you would say these are large scale sculptures. And then, like I said, proportion is the size relationship of the parts to the whole. So yeah, so here, like that, these are large scale sculptures. This is by Claes Oldenburg and Klusi van Bruggen. I can't say those words. Van Bruggen? I don't know. And they do a lot of like, it's like a sculpture duo team, and they do like large scale sculptures that's like very pop arty. Like if y'all seen the spoon, I think that's maybe in Minneapolis with the cherry. And then they have like ice cream, I think is from one of them, on a building. So, and then I think one of these is in your book even. So like that other sports thing. But yeah, so that's scale. This is proportion. So yeah, proportion is the size relation of the parts to the whole. So this has like this painter, Sherry Sharon, which is like what this artist goes by. His real name is Joseph Kinkonda, and he is from the Republic of Congo. But so he plays with a lot of proportion in a lot of his paintings, and it's like a little bit surrealist in that way, because like here you have like this person who is like very large in scale compared to these other people, and while this person looks further back, like it's not necessarily that these look that much further back, so it does play a lot with proportion and scale here. And so yeah, so this takes up like literally like 1/3 of, so proportionately speaking, this figure is like the focal point of, and then that would be like the other focal point, because this takes up like 1/3, and then that's like, I don't know, another fraction. So yeah, proportions. And so he's primarily a narrative painter, and his work is featured, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's more about him on the thing. Alright, so now we're going to get into GOODs, or GOODays, postmodern principles. And so these are preparation, juxtaposition, recontextualization, layering, interaction of text and image, hybridity, gazing, and representing. Alright, so I know we talked about appropriation before, but here we are again, talking about appropriation. Get used to it. We're going to do that again. Appropriation in art is the use of pre-existing objects or images with little or no transformation applied to them. Alright, so here we have, I know that somebody likes calls in this class, at least one person, because I read it somewhere. Probably more than one. So I know that y'all know calls, somebody does. So this is my calls and appropriation. So The Simpsons, y'all know The Simpsons, probably they've been around like forever. So yeah, he did something with The Simpsons, appropriation. Blah blah. Oh, because the Simpsons are a pre-existing image. If that's like not obvious, yeah. Okay, so juxtaposition means placing two or more things side by side, often with the intention of comparing or contrasting the elements. So this obviously is like a lot of things are comparing and contrast style. Like, so this is by Stephanie Sujuku, and it is Dodge and Burn. Visible storage, and so here she like kind of plays with like a lot of these, you know, there's like the green screen side, and then like that, I don't know what you call it whenever it's like the vector image kind of side. It's all about like digital media and like the here, Stephanie Sujuko works in photography, sculpture, and installation, moving from handmade and craft-inspired mediums to digital editing and archive excavation. Using critical wit and collaborative co-creation, her projects leverage open-source systems, shareware logic, and flow of capital in order to investigate issues of economies and empire. Recently, she's focused on how photography and image-based processes are implicated in the construction of racialized exclusionary narratives in history and citizenship. So yeah, so the history of like photography and art and racial narratives. So you know the photo card for a long time that like wouldn't even pick up like that was like smaller and wouldn't even pick up people of like darker than white skin tones, or like adjust to them properly, because like you have to do that whenever you're like filming to like adjust. And yeah, so like green screens and like the narratives of like the props of like Savage versus like, you know, that colonial time. Yeah. You know, the racialized stereotypes of African Americans in media. So read about it in your free time if you're interested. Next we have recontextualization. So recontextualization is a deliberate borrowing of an image for a new context. Recontextualizations help artists comment on the image's original meaning and the viewer's association with either the original image or the real thing. So this one is pretty easy to understand what he recontextualized. This is an American flag. Usually an American flag is red, white, and blue. This is green, black, and red, and this is called the African American flag. It was done in 1990 by David Hammonds. David Hammonds once commented that outrageously magical things happen when you mess around with the symbol. The symbol is this, the symbol of the American flag. So I mean, yeah, like think about what the American flag represents. There's a bunch of symbolism there, and he wants to recontextualize it. For the past 50 years, Hammons has created a vocabulary of symbols from everyday life and messed around with them in forms of prints, drawing, performance, video, found objects, sculptures, and paintings. Many of the results have been outrageous, and most have a distinct kind of magic derived from the transformation of everyday objects into allegories of experience of an outsider in the contemporary world, whether an artist, a stranger, a madman, or more persistently, a person of color. So yeah, it's playing on the recontextualization of the American flag, especially. What's really interesting to me is like, well, I mean, when was it? Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what was happening in 1990 because I was born in 91, if y'all are interested. So I don't know. But I know that the year I was born was the Rodney King riots. But it's interesting regardless because then you have like all of these like contemporary notions of like what the American flag means and like the Colin Kaepernick thing, and then now we have like all the other sports things that are, god damn it, LeBron James and the NBA like not playing anymore. So can y'all tell I'm getting into sports as sports gets into politics because I'm interested. But yeah, anyways, that's besides the point. Recontextualization. Alright, so layering is the use of many images layered on top of each other with varying degrees of transparency. Yeah, so this is like a like collage photo like layered on top of each other. This firefighter has like a flower. So yeah. Interaction of text and image is the interplay between words and images. So Sean Huckins is known for both his brilliant humor and technical skill. So these are paintings. These are not like these aren't just like something that he just like printed out and then made in a meme app or whatever. Like these are like legitimate paintings that then he creates humor on top of it. But he has that that interaction of text and image. So yeah, so this one is Princess de Broglie. I don't even know. And then yeah, I've waited a long time to be disappointed by someone like you. Blah blah blah. Look at her. It's obvious. Like it's funny because her look of disappointment. That's how they play. Like she's funny. And then twerking like a boss. So that is on the Jolly Flatboatman. So yeah, if any of y'all become art history majors and y'all take like I want to say pretty much any of the American art classes, but probably Dr. Simon's class. She'll talk about this. She won't talk about this painting, but she'll talk about the one underneath it. the original. Anyways, moving on. Hybridity. So there's like two things that hybridity can be. So for one, it can be incorporating various forms of new media into an artwork. So this is by Osagimos, which is like they're Brazilian artists and they're identical twin brothers that work together and they create art. And yeah, there's more you can read about them, but they do a lot of street art, but this is like they're doing hybridity because they have like multiple different forms of art and different media, especially if it has like new media. Which new media would be like photography, video, light, other stuff like that. And then the other thing about hybridity is that it is the blending of cultures. It can be the blending of cultures. So these are by Frank Buffalo Hyde. So he is a Southwestern-born artist who traces his heritage to the Nez Perce and Onondaga people, and has been recognized for breaking through boundaries which may have been placed around people around what they think Native American art should look like. He is defining himself as a Native American without being a stereotype, dealing with what he calls the fragmented contemporary life of a Native U.S. citizen. So anyways, here he plays with like the like general stereotypical themes of like Native American artwork or of stereotypes in Native American life. Like the this one is called Buffalo Dancers Study. So like these buffalo dancers, and this is a buffalo, and this is a fast food burger. So it plays on like the influence of our media and our phones over here, and like popular culture and like popular commodities, and then like fast food culture, and like how they used to be eating buffaloes and now they're eating, like they used to be killing their own food, but now they are like, by they I mean like Native Americans, like they were like living of the land, and now people are like addicted to fast food because that's all they can afford, blah blah blah. So yeah, hybridity. And next we have gazing. So gazing is associated with issues of knowledge and pleasure, and is also a form of power. So there's a lot of like different things out of the gaze. Like you have the male gaze, which is the term for really like just any standard, especially but sexualized. But most in the, because we live in a man's world, a patriarchal society, like for the most part, most things are the male gaze unless the female created it, the artwork. I'll digress. I'm just going to talk about this because that's not important to what y'all need to know. I'm sorry. I can get really into the theory if I don't watch myself. So the gaze is about like who is watching who, and who is doing the watching, who is being watched. And that's why there's power structures, because if you're the one that's doing the watching, then you are in the position of power. All right, so this is Betty Sayers' The Liberation of Aunt Jemima. I'm sure that y'all know what Aunt Jemima is. Only literally, I think, this summer, because of the BLM protest, that like she's getting this makeover. So Aunt Jemima, the reason why this image is bad is because it's like a stereotypical image of like the mammy, like the, just look up what the mammy is. Like it is the African American woman that like raises and take care of the white children, the one that lives in the house, and like they're still disrespected because they're still a slave. But yeah, so here, in this, so in the traditional meaning of this sacred image is challenged when it is paired with an even more stereotypical depiction of a wide-eyed, red-lipped African-American woman holding a broom in one hand and a rifle in the other. So here, this lady, oh, so this is the mammy figure, and then this is the lady holding the broom and the rifle. And see, the mammy has the child, and then the black power fist. So, by shifting the context in within which a familiar advertising image seems, students can spontaneously engage in an important activity of visual culture education. So here you get to, yeah, basically it's just like kind of questioning who like is doing the gazing. So obviously this image of the mammy and of Aunt Jemima was created by white culture, white men, like that is the white gaze and the white supremacist gaze. But like it's like taking back some of the power. So while she is holding a broom, she also has like the black power fist. So it's kind of like signals that not only is she watching her, but like she's watching you, kind of thing. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's the gays. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, and Betty Sarr is, there's information about her, I think, in this thing, but yeah, she's like 90 something, but she's, yeah, look her up before she dies. So representing describes the strategy of locating one's voice within one's personal history and culture of origin. So for this, like, this could be just about anything, like, well, okay, I'll tell you all about this. So representing oneself, so this is just whenever artists like create work that is about themselves and their culture and what they're growing up in. Like, if I was creating work that's just like flowers, that you know, it wouldn't be representing anything about me. So this artist is Yishe Garbaz, and she documented her. This is called Becoming, and it's documenting her transformation. Male to female, and for like from taking hormones until she got her gender reassignment surgery or gender affirmation surgery. So yes, so there's like different ways that this has been displayed. There's like a picture book, but it's a picture that was taken every day, and this one cycles through. And so yeah, they are representing themselves because they, as a person, are showing what they went through and what she went through as a transgender female, and yeah. And then also representing would be like, this would be representing one's within one's culture of origin. So this would be like how he blends cultures, because he's also talking about how he is both a Native American, but he's also living in this contemporary time period where he's blending these cultures, but also he's representing how he lives within this time. Because if he was only representing, let's say, classic stereotypical images of Native Americans, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be his representation. Yeah, so I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I'll let y'all know, and I'll put up another video soon. See y'all later.